Okay, it says that I'm live, but I'm not really live because I'm just testing some stuff. I've already got 4 people in here. I wasn't intended to be live right now, but I just got a different camera and I'm playing around with the camera and the microphone and the positioning and everything because everything's a little bit different than it was. So, okay, we got 4 people. Can anybody tell me if this is? Can you see me? Does this look okay? Can you hear me? Oh, it's hot in here. The AC went out again too. Constant failure. I'm dealing with constant failure. Chris Greenaway, what's happening? Dickie Farley, Jeff Hutchins, Bill McKice. Oh, this isn't live, guys. Frank Irmo, Jared Lamb, what's happening? It's working. Midnight Rider, Greg Anderson, Chud Bait, Josh H. I'm not really doing this. I'm not really calling you guys up. Hello, everybody. I honestly, I was playing around with thumbnails, right? Not to play around with thumbnails, but for this new camera because the positioning and everything is completely different. So I was playing around. It's like, all right, well, let's just hit play and then see what happens. But guys, this looks okay and it sounds okay. Sound seems distant. Video is perfect. Okay. Hello. Come down. Yes. Okay. How's that? Is the sound okay? Paul Cavazzolo, what's happening, brother, man? Audio bad. Oh, what happened to my audio? The sound is just a little bit off. Amanda, still dealing with echo, throw a blank up. Okay, you know what? I think because it's not taken from this mic. So that's why I had to go on, because it's not taking from this microphone. It's taking from the webcam. So now I have to figure out. Carlos Avila, your videos on cheap motorcycles make me more fun. How about I should make videos on cheap audio and visual equipment, because as a YouTube professional, I recognize the cheap stuff when I buy it. Now, TM Proud Country says it sounds good to him. Light echo, but not a deal breaker. Okay. Let me just. Okay, guys, I'm playing around with this while I'm hanging out. I'll hang out with you for a little bit. We don't want to hit mute. Okay. Sound is muddy. All right, hang on now. Hang on. I got to go to this thing, and I got to hit that. There's the speakers. Okay, I don't want that. Okay. All right. Okay, so what's happening is instead of it working off of this mic, it's working off of the webcam mic. So I have to go into the computer, into the sound settings, and change that. But I can't really do it while I'm on live. So I'll just hang out for a little bit. Let's hang out for a while. And ceiling fan. No, Paul, we had really good sound from this. But I had a Logitech webcam. So now I just switched to a different webcam. And now instead of it taking the sound, see before it was taking the video from the Logitech and it was taking the sound from this, but now it's taking both the video and the sound from this new, what the hell kind is this? Neon Tech. It's taking the sound from the Neon Tech, and I need to go in there and make it so that it takes the sound from here and not there. Stuff. But I have visuals, and that's all that counts. And now I'll roll a cigarette, and that'll make life much better. Chris Greenaway is slightly inebriated. Well, that's cool. Jared Lamb, listening from Sydney, Australia. I can turn the later on. I'll turn the camera upside down. Jason Holly says it sounds good. Let's hang out. Okay, we'll hang out for a little bit. Thumper, what's happening, my brother? Yeah, still the camera sound. The echo is epic. Nice. You have a shrink ray. I've never been fit inside the computer. Rob Allen, what gears and slick? They have been 430s, which are wrong. It's just the wrong gear for that car. The car's way too heavy for the little motor in 430s. But I do have a set of 486s for it. They're just sitting on the shelf. And they would be in there if it wasn't for my shoulder. Really bad. Really bad. Let's see. Thumper, you drilled and pinned a forged crank today. That's it's fun to some, I guess. Leon, did I go to Carlisle? No, I did not go to Carlisle. I stuck close to home. I got a lot of reasons why I got to stick close to home right now. But yeah, Rob, there's been 430s in it, which at the time that I put it together, those are the only gears I had. There's only center section, like I could just drop in. So I think, well, we'll try that. But they need the 480s. Oh, did this thing freeze? No, we're still there. Oh, jeez. Chris Greenway, UTG, what would you recommend for a 331 Cleveland 4V rear end? Well, it depends what you're going to use it for, Chris. The weight of the car, and I mean, God, there's so many different questions. K&J Scoop, greetings from Oregon. Love you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Jamie has 49. Well, isn't Jamie just special? Jamie. I keep hearing, all I hear is Jamie. Zolly's Auto Clinic. Am I answering quick questions? Sure. I'm going to hang out for a little bit, but just a little bit, really, because I got stuff. Oh yeah. 72 GT, 4,200 pounds, cruise, but like to show off once in a blue moon. Something between 3.0 and 320, but someplace between, three teens, 320s to like 350s, 355. Ideally someplace between like 323 and 355, whatever, would give you both. They would be a decent cruise and enough torque multiplication to spin the tires when you want to. Jason Hobby, your 413 is still cranky as ever. You gotta keep finessing it, man. Just keep showing it the love. It'll eventually come around. Fearless Concolor, not an echo, but I'm definitely hearing a tunnel effect. Yes. So I explained a minute ago, and the reason why I'm even doing this live right now is I'm not really alive. I'm just testing stuff because I got another webcam, and the way it was set up, it was taking the video from the webcam and it was taking the audio from here. But now it's taking both the video and the audio from the webcam. So, and I can't change that when I'm live, and I have to make the adjustment in here after I shut it off. So echoey, but we were not supposed to be here right now anyway. Bill McKayska, thank you so much, brother. Wasn't expecting super chats. 427, 420, 429, Ford. Why so many numbers, and which has the most potential? That 429 series motor's got the best potential. It's got the biggest ports. There's several motors. That's the same family as like the 460. Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. It's out of all of them, that's the one you want to go with. UTG, what's the best way to find obsolete parts? Crawl around in my attic. KJ Scoop, on any Sunday. Oh, God. Dad and I watched to get me into dirt bikes. It worked and turned me into a gearhead. How about put a long arm kit on my XJ? So on any Sunday, right? The last couple of years that I lived in New York, let's just say it was a very highly stressful life. Okay, I mean, like, stress all the time. Okay, a lot of stuff going on, and when you're stressed, it's hard to sleep, right? So for the last year, I'm not exaggerating, maybe even longer than a year, KJ, to fall asleep at night, I would have to put on any Sunday. It was the only way I could just completely unplug from the realities of New York City, right? The stresses and all of that. And I would every single night, when it's time to go to bed, right? I'd throw in on any Sunday, and I'd watch it for like half hour, 45 minutes, and I would just put me in a peaceful place, and I would just fall asleep. So that movie actually, man, that movie is special to me. 428 has potential with oiling adjustments. Bear Rose, what's happening, Bear Rose? Steve McQueen, yeah. So my friend John Bertone, I really miss. So John was a motorcycle freak. He lived a couple of blocks away from me, right? So John was one of these guys that was always buying stuff, always buying something, always flipping, right? And he'd come by my house once every couple of days with a different motorcycle, and then I was doing the same thing. So like we were always surprising each other with new motorcycles, and then he'd come by the house, and then we would just I'd grab one, and we would just go off and ride, right? And when we were, so anyway, make a long story short, this is like an ongoing thing, and I had an accident where I T-boned. I had a guy in Oldsmobile make a left turn in front of me. So I'm cruising along at about 40 miles an hour, and a guy just literally, like just no time to do anything really, made a left turn in front of me to pull to a gas station. So I laid into the back brake to try to get it sideways, and I did. I got it sideways, so I hit the car sideways, but and it was not dead on, but I was able to hit it sideways. But it pinned my leg between the bike, the gas tank, and the car, and shattered my tibia. So, and I had already been on crutches for a while because I had broken my ankle like 3 months before. I broke my ankle and my wrist. So I was on crutches like forever. Okay, so John made me. This has to do with one on any Sunday. So John made me. He went and bought a bowling trophy, right? And he broke the legs on the bowling trophy. And he made some crutches and stuff. And he says, he put the inscription in there to Tony/Malcolm DeFeo, because he used to call me Malcolm, right? Because on any Sunday, and I don't even pretend to have a thousandth of the skill that Malcolm Smith had, but he used to call me Malcolm because it's always on a different motorcycle. Okay, let's see. Stevie B, if you rugged the room, it would take the echo out. No, I got rid of the echo. But I'll explain it a couple of times. I had a Logitech webcam, so I just switched the webcam. And now I didn't make the right settings in here, so it's taking both the picture and the sound from the webcam instead of the picture from the camera and the sound from here. So we had gotten rid of the echo. It was sounding really good, but now I have to go out and make adjustments, settings, whatever it happens to be. 103 people. Guys, I swear, I really did not intend to go live tonight. Let's see. Ryman Cabell, my buddy Tom had many years ago a 71 Mustang Mach 1, Super Cobra, a 429 Drag Pack 410, and Super T10. That's a nice car, man. That's a really nice car. Pat, my 2 little rescue dogs sound like angry 2-stroke motors when they play. I love that. You know exactly what. Yeah, I get it. I'm the one that has to find it relaxing. Dude, there's nothing nicer than watching a couple of puppies play. It's like young dogs, and they're wrestling around and they're growling and they're biting each other and stuff. That is just the most pleasant thing in the world. KJ, me too, man. My second bike was a 70 Suzuki 185. Steve McQueen is the man. Yep. Every time I think the world is all bad, I see people out having fun on motorcycles. Right? That's the line, right? Mealy King, I was on crutches so long from a shattered tib fib. I should have let them amputate. Yeah, tell me about it. I lost use of my thumb for months. I broke both of my thumbs going over the handlebars on a dirt bike. I hit some railroad tracks, and I hit them just wrong, and it grabbed the front wheel of the bike and twisted it, flipped me over the bars, and I broke both of my thumbs. One shot. Secret conspiracy. Wait, is this live? Yes, it's live. It's not supposed to be live. This was supposed to be just a test. But while I was testing, I figured, yes, breaking thumbs does suck. John Buck. I've got a 66 Galaxy 500 four-door hardtop and a 77 Mark V. You're rolling in Ford style, bro. Yeah, Bill, it's a UTG Tuesday night test, right? This is test and tune. This is right. This is Tuesday night test and tune. Let's see. Yeah, Bullet. Well, yes, the movie Bullet is all about the chasing. If you take the chase scene out of Bullet, it's a boring movie. There's really no action to it. It's all about that chase scene, and I've seen it. Oh God, thousands and thousands of times. Well, no, I haven't seen it thousands. I've seen it a ridiculous number of times. Jimmy, no, the boom mic we've been using, but it's currently not working because the new webcam that I picked up, the computer is picking up the sound from that. So are we back? Okay, I think we're back. Okay. Secret conspirator. There's a lot of you guys out there, aren't there? I've been seeing some stuff on the incident, from the rally, and oh boy, I think there's gonna be a lot of interesting things coming to light over the next couple of days. What, if anything, should I do to my 273 Commando and a 66 Cuda? I was considering trying to get it close to being a daily driver. It's a perfect daily driver. Use it. Use it just exactly the way it is. That's a perfect daily driver. You'll love that thing. Barry Kuhn is saying that the audio is damn near as good as Edison's first wax cylinder. Listen, compare me with Edison, that's a win, man. I'll take that. I will take that. John Buck is saying it's good on his end. Yeah, I see what I have to do. Steve Machurik, 66 Cuda slant slick swap it. Why? That 273 Commando is so friendly. I daily drove for a 67 Dart GT with it. It wasn't an original Commando car, but it had all the Commando stuff. And that thing was just pleasant. It was happy. It was a really, really good car to drive. Sunny Ray, I wonder how much gas mileage you could gain with a turbo on a Slant 6 or a V8 even. It would be neat to see just how much you can tune and get a vehicle on a diet to get maximum mileage. Okay, so supercharging, even a Roots supercharger, if it's tuned very, very conservatively, you will see an increase in gas mileage. But you have to tune and you have to drive for the gas mileage. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, well, I'll just slam a blower on here and pick up 3 miles per gallon. It doesn't really work like that. But if you set it up and it's everything is geared for that. A turbo that's small enough to spool early. The fuel curve has to be right. If it's all set for efficiency, if that's what you're after, then yeah, absolutely, you can pick up gas mileage with a turbocharger. But most people don't set up turbo motors like that. That's not the main consideration that they go for. So, but yeah, there's no question. If you see, that's why I'm going to save that thought and I'm going to do a whole video on that because that's a good topic. Thank you. Let's see. Chris Greenway, before I go 351 Boss 71 versus 72 Cobra Jet 351, can I convert it? What's the major difference in the heads? Come tomorrow night and ask Dr. Art. He's far more familiar with the interchange on those engines than I am. Ryman, question, Tony, for you. Can you port those old 1966 Chrysler heads as good as later 906 heads on the exhaust valve side? Yes. As cast, the opening is slightly smaller, but there's the same amount of material to raise the roof on both the 516 and the 906 heads. That's not the issue. The only drawback, and it's not even a drawback, okay, is with the 516 heads is that they have a 1.6 exhaust valve, which, okay, so like if you're an LS person, they have 1.6 exhaust valve, but if you're a big block Mopar person, it's considered to be an undersized exhaust valve. They went to the 178 with the 906 heads, but with a 4 1/4 bore, like a 3D3, okay, or a 426 wedge, a 4 1/4 bore, that 1.6 exhaust valve is right. The 1.6 exhaust valve is only a hindrance when you get to the 4.3 plus bores, like the 440 or the 400. Mostly the 400. The 400's got that. 400's got the biggest bore of all the Mopar engines. So, and it's not so much really the diameter of the valve, but it's the positioning. So when you bring the edge of the valve closer to the end of the without shrouding, you want the valve as close to the edge of the port without it being shrouded for maximum efficiency. And that's why they went with that larger valve. The larger valve wasn't really so much because of flow through it or CFM through the valve, past the valve, but really because to accommodate the larger bore and get the positioning of the far edge of the exhaust valve in the best place. David James, what is an acceptable RPM for 440, 60 over cast pistons and stock rods? Because the stock rods are forged. I mean, if everything's all stock, I would keep it in the 6,000 RPM range. Beyond so stock rod bolts, stock everything, unbalanced, just like a factory assembly. 6,000, 62, 6,300, like that. I think once you get into the 6,500 range, that's really where you want to fortify your stuff on a 440. But I think you're way safe in the low 6,000 RPM range. Jeff Hutchins, what horsepower level would a 74 440 factory 4-steel crank, forged rods and pistons, no detonation take reliably? Tough question, Jeff. See, without detonation, oh man, there's almost no limit. Without detonation, I'm going to say like you're way safe with the factory rods, forged crank. I'm going to say you're going to be way safe between like 700 and 800 horsepower without detonation, and you could probably go further than that. A lot of that depends on the fuel that you're running. Like for instance, gasoline is going to be most prone to detonation. 85 or alcohol will be less prone to detonation. It's a softer hit. You can get more power out of it. So if your limit on, let's say, on gasoline is 700 horsepower, you could probably have a safe 200 horsepower margin or so by going to an alcohol fuel, something that has a softer hit, right? Like so it's not just compression, it's actually pressure spike. Okay, so you picture this, okay? Spark plug lights, the mixture. You're at top dead center, and now just rolling past top dead center. So now you're gonna be at peak solar pressure, okay? And now the piston's starting to accelerate away. All right. So at the peak, if you were to picture the pressure spike as being pointy, like a sharp pressure spike, okay, that's not detonation, but it's hard on the bottom end of the engine. So now, if you run a lean setup, okay, your engine is lean, you get a very sharp, peaky spike, okay? But if the engine is fat, when on the richer side, you get a more gentler spike. And this is what we determined with nitro, when we were tuning nitro motors. And it's like a lean fuel motor will give you an incredibly sharp pressure spike, and it hammers the bottom end of the engine, okay? Whereas you run it fat, the fatter you run it, the softer it becomes. And the softer it becomes, the less damage you find on the bottom end of the engine. So it's not really so much detonation that's the limit, it's also how the power is delivered through the rod. And see, like, the other thing too, like the difference between like forged, like a steel rod and an aluminum rod. Your aluminum rod soaks up a lot of the harmonics from the top end of the motor. It doesn't transfer to the bottom, and if it doesn't transfer to the bottom, it doesn't go to the webbing, right? The sharking isn't transferred as sharply to the webbing of the block, which is the weak part. So an iron rod or steel rod, I should say, transfers any shock from the piston or the combustion process directly, right, sharply, and that is a harmonic that runs through the bottom of the block, where an aluminum rod soaks up some of those harmonics. That's the benefit of the aluminum rod, and so it doesn't get so. See, again, depending on the type of rod, and there's also a difference in the consistency of the rods, because not all aluminum rods are made the same. Some of them are softer and some of them are harder. So yeah, oh man, this I'm babbling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me get back to this stuff. Rodney Harris, you turn your cast crank slant stick 6,400 RPM. They ran 1280 and a quarter. That's stout, bro. That's really stout. 46 gears using ARP rod bolts. Yeah, well, there's no reason it would not. Cast cranks are a lot stronger than people give them credit for, and especially on that thing. So the cast crank on your slant six is something like 18 pounds lighter than the forged crank. Well, it depends on which cast crank you use, because there's the 76 to 76 to 80, and there's the 81 to 86. The 81 to 86 is 18 pounds lighter than the forged crank, so it'll take more power. Let's see. Mark, I can't pronounce your last name. Sizapaniak. God, I'm sorry if I'm murdering your name, bro. I'm sure this isn't the first time. Just use my first name. Okay, Mark. Will you ever go through the proper way to shim stock Mopar rocket shafts after having the heads milled, small block and big block? Did you bring up that subject recently? No, but I did a video on blueprinting, and in the video on blueprinting, we did shim the rockers on a big block Mopar, and I went through that whole thing. So try to find that. Just search blueprinting, and I'm nearly certain that we covered that already. David James, how hard is gear drive on street-driven harmonics? Very hard. It's not. That's okay. So there's lots of applications that have used gear drives in street applications, like Chevy and Ford inline sixes used gear drives, but they use a composite gear, right? Because the harmonics are really severe. And it goes both ways. The harmonics from the crank and the harmonics from the valve train, they're two different harmonics. And when you put them together without having I'm using the wrong word, right? You'll get the idea. Like without having a flex coupler between them of some sort. Yeah, the harmonics get transferred back and forth, and it fatigues the parts. Early death. So on any street intended gear drive engine, they always use like a fiber top gear. They'll use different compositions, but it'll never be steel gears back to back. So, and now a high performance gear drive, like a racing gear drive, is going to use steel gears, and that's fine for racing, but it's terrible for harmonics. So it shortens the life of the parts. Now, on that note, so years ago, I used to help a fellow named Dave Leclerc, a friend of mine. he had a super stock D automatic Hemi Belvedere, one of the RO23 cars, and he was playing around with different. He had a chain, he had a gear, and he went with the belt drive. And the Jessel belt drive made more power than either of the others, the direct gear drive or the timing chain. So that says a lot about harmonics, because really the only difference between those setups is the way it handles the harmonics. Long Island Mopars putting a 1969 Carter AFB Competition Series 750 on a 273 with a mild Isky E4 cam. I can't think of the specs on the E4 cam. Can you recommend jet sizes for primary and secondary? No, I cannot. That's something that is your car, your specifics, all of the specifics to your car, including where you operate it, the overall. I know you're saying Long Island, so you're basically sea level, but there's going to be different jetting for different, right? Different conditions for ideal jetting. I think you're going to be relatively close. But the only way you know, bro, the only way you're going to know is to take your car out. Because all of the specifics of your combination, right? Your engine, your converter, your gear, your tire, the weight of your car, the cam, and the compression, all of those factors are going to make slightly different. So I just answered this question actually. Somebody else, I think it was on the last slide. Just take the carburetor you have, bolt it on, and make a run with it. Right? Make a couple of runs with it. Shut it. Shut it. Like coast down, coast to a stop, and pull the plugs, and that'll give you an idea where you're starting. You're going to be a tad. Yeah, you're going to be a tad fat with it, but I'm telling you, I think it's just going to be a tad. Yes, Fitzgerald, damper was the term I was looking for. Yes. If this was a real live, I would have said damper. I would have, but it's not, right? So, Scoop, correct. Colorado's air is different than Missouri. Yes. Yeah. Jetting is something that you, unless you know the exact combination, and even at that, it changes really from car to car. You've got to just bolt it on and go through the motions. Seed Rider, it's a vibration damper. No, we weren't talking about the vibration damper. We were talking about street intended gear drives like they did on the factory with certain like inline sixes, and that they used a fiber or composite cam gear to eliminate those harmonics. And I couldn't think of the word, and it acts as a damper. Bro, hey Tony, my steps on the 318 are arriving. Your steps are arriving to the prime step for oil pump vane after oil pan front wheel set. But I'm not sure what you're saying, but is it good? Ed Quiza, what's a good wire diameter for a from scratch points distributor to a coil plus or minus? I like 7mm wires. I know everybody goes 8mm, but for a 20,000 volt ignition system, the 7mm is just fine, and that's what I would go. Josh Holman, I heard Cadillac 500s made a wimpy 190 horsepower. Probably take the catalytic converter off, and it would make a huge difference. Well, it's not just that. It's not just that. Yes, I know harmonics are vibration, and noise is fine harmonics. I'm very familiar. So the Caddy is not tuned for performance in a lot of ways. The cam, the ignition timing, the carburation. When I say the ignition timing, I mean the curve. Both your initial settings and the curve. It's all done on those engines and that period of time. It was all done for emissions, some fuel economy, smoothness. right? They wanted the cars to be able to run on just whatever shit gas was available. So they were super, super conservative in every aspect. And the cams are very, very conservative because on a Cadillac, you don't care what kind of power it makes at wide open throttle at 4,800 RPM, 5,000 RPM. You care that it's very responsive, right? Because when the old lady who buys the car, you know what I mean, is in, pulling away from the stoplight, she wants it to feel just so snappy, right? So they use very small cams. Everything is tuned for low end off idle torque. Even the throttle, the gas pedal ratio, because if you notice, Cadillacs have a very the pedal ratio, the pedal to the carburetor ratio is the tightest of all of the GM cars, because they wanted, when you drive in the car, they want to give you the impression that, oh, you just touch the gas, just touch the gas lightly, and woof, it goes. So that's why those engines are as soft as they are. There's plenty of potential in them. But then you run into RPM-like issues, like the rocker assemblies on the Caddies. So the rocker assembly on the Caddies is a lot like the rocker assembly on a Buick, where the outside rockers hang outside of the bolts that hold them down. So in other words, like on the Buick, it's a shaft, and the outboard rockers are to the outside, and the Caddy does the same thing, where the rockers, not the shaft deal, but the rockers are outside of the hold down, and so there's a lot of, the rockers aren't happy on those engines when you start putting a cam to them or you have a valve spring. So there's lots of little things with the Caddies that make them difficult to work with. But there are people out there that make huge power with them. They just know what they're doing. So yes, and they have to be silent. Exactly. Just touch the gas. Right? That's how Caddies are the calibrated. The calibration guy. I've always wanted to mention this in a video, and I never did. But one of the things that's always left out of the equation, when we talk about the muscle car days and what cars ran really hard and which ones were soft and so on and so forth. And a lot of it came down to the calibration guy. So the calibration guy, so the engineers said, okay, you're going to use this carburetor and this distributor, and this is how it's all going to fit together. But it was the calibration guy that determined what the total time was going to do, what the initial time was going to be, what the curve was going to be, how quick it was going to come in, the carburetor, jetting, right? All of that was left to the calibration guy. And calibration guys that were into performance, these are the ones that worked for the factory, that were really into performance, could set up a really stout, like Buick had really good calibration people. So a lot of the performance characteristics of 1960s, 1970s cars had to do with the personality of the person that they put in charge of calibration. Okay? I know, right? You say, well, how could that be? Just one person determines that. But that's how it was. The calibration guy made or broke the performance profile of any given car. Jason Holly, I'm a sucker for the big old boats. There's a lot to be said for them, man. Okay. So, guys, I did not intend to go live. I'm not sorry I did it, because I got to say hi to you guys. Thank you for popping in. But I didn't intend to go live. I really do need to get home. So I'm gonna pull a plug on this now, okay? But tomorrow night, 7:00, Dr. Art will be here, and I'll have the sound fixed. We'll have the sound working right again. Fubar, thank you for putting up the link to our merch. Thank you so much, Fubar. I think you're the only mod that popped in tonight. I love you, Fubar. Did you get the package? Did you get the package that Kathy sent? So yeah, pop in tomorrow night at 7:00. We'll have Dr. Art here, and we'll talk tech all night. Oh, excellent, Fubar, great. So yeah, it was fun popping in. And like I said, I'm gonna check out of here now. As usual, thank you for everybody joining. Everybody sent super chat. Thank you so much. Um, Fubar, thank you, my brother, for popping in. And everybody, you just came by, and your presence and your conversation. Always appreciate you. Thank you. Um, no ice cream. No, not even ice cream. No, I'm losing weight. I mean, I'm seriously. I'm really trying. I'm losing it. Uh, yes, who was this line on YouTube? So yes, 7 o'clock Central Time. 7 o'clock Central. So we'll see you tomorrow night with Dr. Art, and then of course Sunday night we do the live with Kathy out of the house. So I'm gonna hit the out button, and I'll catch you tomorrow.